Shalom, welcome to the dining hall events arena for Yeshiva Nar Shalom. It used to be a courtyard. I lived over here in one of the, now it's a library. And, it was a fun place to begin yeshiva life in Yerushalayim. My wife and I, we had 2 kids in a 1-bedroom place. We shared the bathroom in the courtyard with the old Moroccan couple. You can imagine that created a few stories. And here, after all the years, you see that Rav Benayahu Shmueli has built a world of Torah, a place for hundreds and hundreds of people to meet on a regular basis, and they do. And so it's a privilege to be here and be part of this. And it all began with one man, Rav Mordechai Sharabi, who left the old city after the 67 war and came to Nachlaot, where there were a lot of old Sephardi religious families, and began to teach Kabbalah in a one-room synagogue. Now that one-room synagogue spans about 10 classrooms and offices and 2 other synagogues, and it's just a privilege to see the thing unfold. Because Judaism, it's not just a religion. It's not just a way to seek God. It's a lifestyle. It's social. It's educational. It can be a little political too. And it's communal on a family level. And that's what Judaism gives above all the religions, is there's this sense of belonging to something on a very intimate, special level, that when you know anything happens, you've got somebody who has your back. You have somebody that's going to help you with money, or with food, or with education, or with clothes, or with the holidays. And so when I first came here from the States and from living a secular lifestyle, it was astounding to see, wow, this was here all along. This was waiting for us. And we never knew about it. I didn't know about it. I didn't know what Orthodox Judaism was. And now I sit in the hall and we're learning some Chassidut and Kabbalah here in a place that used to be a courtyard that I'm laughing because so many things happen in that courtyard. Funny and sad and, ironic and psychotic, It depends on the day of the week, the month of the year. But it's wonderful to be here with all of you as well, and to share a little piece, a tiny window into the life of Jerusalem Torah lifestyle, right? And so with all that said, we have been learning in Torah 94 of Likutei Moharan, the first section of this great book. And there's so many concepts we've already covered that I'm just going to dive into it's not really a freestanding piece, it's part of the whole, but we can learn it as though it's one piece. And you can go back into the other classes on Torah Tzadik Dalet 94 to catch up on the flow of all the thoughts. Because when Rabbi Nachman teaches, he's teaching on a multi-level tapestry. It's not 2-dimensional. It's not 3-dimensional. I would probably make a mistake to say it was 5-dimensional, but it's deep and it's big, and we're going to start with this idea about wisdom. Ayin hu ha chokhmah. So this is about 20 lines from the end of the Torah. The eye is wisdom. Wisdom is wisdom, and an eye is a lens that God made for us to see with. Why is the ayin called wisdom? Why is wisdom called the eye? Well, look at it. The eye is the most sensitive organ in terms of gathering information. The eye connects separate realities and makes them into one picture. And that's part of the repair of the entire world. Because as Jews, we're obligated by Shema Yisrael, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad, declaring God's name as one and His world is one. Well, we have to live that declaration. We can't just talk it, read it, and not be it. Try to be it, I should say. And so the eye gathers in you see all these things in this room, makes it one picture. It unifies things. And that's what wisdom does. See, wisdom is a power in the mind that it connects the dots. Understanding is the power in the mind that separates the dots and shows you their distinctions and differences. And we need both those powers in our mind to be functioning, happening Jews, right? Or people, for that matter. So wisdom is the eye, because the eye has this immense ability to bring in information at once, very fast, and to make it all part of one picture, one reality, one understanding. With that said, when you gaze upon a thing in the world, certainly just gazing on something elevates the sparks in the thing. Now, that sounds like too simple, right? I just gaze on the chandelier and automatically those sparks are going up to Hashem. The spark that created the gold, or let's say it's plated gold, right? The crystals, or let's say it's plated crystal. I don't know what a plated crystal is. It's glass, right? Just by gazing on it, we lift it up. How? Well, it's because we don't understand our own power. The power of elevation is built within us. When we gaze at it, we automatically bring it to its place in God's world. Now, if I'm a person that doesn't believe in God and thinks that everything is just haphazard and pieces and billions and trillions of pieces of things that just happen to be, if you live, God forbid, you live in that world of chaos and disorder, well, it seems like there's order, but it still doesn't have an intimate meaning until you see it as one part of one creative expression. So when you do see it like that, you automatically bring it back to its source, because we're talking about a psychic plane, a plane of thought itself. If you lived in a place where there was only thought, right now I'm talking, I have a body, I'm talking to you, you have a body, you have an ear, you have all the physical apparatus to be in this world. But if all of a sudden all that was gone and all you had was your thought, you're just a thought being flying around anywhere you want to go. And I'm a thought being, and we meet at the intersection of, Hollywood and Vine. Well, maybe Yaffo and King George. Those moments of the intersections of thoughts are unifications of light. Your light, my light. My light, your light. And when you think about something, you automatically give it a channel to be reconnected to the beginning. Wow, that's pretty good. You give it a channel to reconnect to the beginning light of creation, which is the Creator, who is always new and always old. Now, if you try to answer all these what look like paradoxes at once, it will tire you out. So don't try to answer all the paradoxes at once. How can a being be old and new at the same time? Because it can. No, it's because there's a mechanism of newness, of renewal. We call Maaseh Bereshit, the workings of creation, make things new all the time. But that doesn't mean that God is not ageless. He's above time. He always was. And that's hard for us, because there is no end to the beginning. Now, so these sparks are going up by the power of thought itself. As is written, Asita tzitz zahav tahor. You made, the tzitz is the crown of gold, pure gold, that was on the forehead of the Kohen Gadol in the temple. Tzitz, this word tzitz, what is it? Milashon istaklut. Well, the tzitz is kind of like to peek through a window or something like that. So a tzitz here is the idea of seeing, Keshehu tahor, when it's pure. You, like when you see something pure, you can barely look at it sometimes. It's so bright and shining. The face of a tzaddik, you can hardly look at a person sometimes. And you know they're righteous. It's a tzitz, it's a peek. A peek is probably the best word in English. Be'emunah u'b'chokhmah. And then you're engaging both your wisdom to see it, to understand it, to name it, to give it place and structure, and emunah, to have faith in the thing itself. No, what do you mean faith in this chair, faith in this, this table? What does faith in those things mean? Rather, as Pitachta ala petuchei hotam. You opened upon him the openings of the seal. Literally, the Likutei hotam are the 5 main vowels that give movement to letters in your mouth and in your mind. Likutei hotam. Those 5 vowels are those, but it also literally translates as 5 openings in the seal. What seal? The seal of God's name. Just like a king, when he sends a letter, he would put a seal on it. Now it's a code, encrypted. But we know that back in the day that seal, that wisdom, that faith that are all bound together, you open them with the eye. Just by looking at something, you begin to know it. If I don't show you, so I have something beautiful in here, I want you to see it. But I'm not going to show you yet. Ooh, what is it? I want to see it. Right? We're arousing curiosity. Rabbi Nachman says that's the Yetzer Hara. He goes around all the time to everybody and says, look, I got something special over here. I got something special. Look in here, look in there. And he opens his hand to nothing. Because that only proves to ourselves that we believed in the joker that comes out before the show, not the main act. The main act is the Shekhinah, the divine presence. But there's a joker that opens up the show to try to distract us from the real show. Why? And what does it mean? The Likutei hotam, you're opening up the seal, is you're opening up the letters that hold the sparks that are in everything. And you make them holy. You make this chair holy by sitting in it, by appreciating it, by understanding it's a gift from God. Your understanding is the vehicle of the elevation. But it's just a $10 plastic chair, Abraham. And you say, there's no prices on these things. Now, if I told you it's a $5 million diamond, you'd say, ooh, that's got some big sparks. And there is truth to that. The power of the wanting that you have for the thing includes the power of the spark in the thing. If it didn't have a big spark, you wouldn't want it. But little things are still useful and important to understand how this works. And by speech, after you've connected to the sparks, you distribute, you give over, Rav Tovi calls it, abundant goodness to Israel. So you're sitting alone in your room and you haven't seen anybody for 3 days and speaking Torah like this? You're spreading goodness all over the land. People don't see it or know it. Because not everybody has the merit to open these books, to look inside at the wisdom of the Kabbalah and the opening that Rabbi Nachman gave us to it. Okay, and when we elevate these sparks from each thing that we look at and see and know and have faith in it. See, the key is knowing the sparks are there. That's always the key that turns in the lock of the mind. And immediately you make it nothing, like a zero. But not that it's worthless nothing. It's more like it has no countability, not accountability. That it's now part of something much bigger. When I say that the chair is a collection of sparks, godly sparks, wait a minute. I thought it was a plastic chair. Oh, it is a plastic chair. But it's made of the plastic sparks. So the plastic sparks, there we go. That was a good one. It's made of these sparks of divine desire, of design, of will, of shape, of sound, vibration. The letters, all of them are combined together. So when we see them that way, we elevate them. If I just see it as a chair without any connection to anything that we've been talking about, it's just an item in the world, then we don't do the same job of elevation. Because the spark is the life force of the thing. You see, some people have tremendous life force and some people very little. And that's because some people have aroused those sparks. And it's not just because you go to the gym or you eat well. Those things help. Those things help, but they're not the ikar. The ikar is the life force you get from what you do, and loving what you do, and believing in what you do has meaning and purpose and direction and focus and utility in the world. That you are necessary and your work are necessary, doesn't matter what you do. This is the puk. Zachar chasdo. Remember God's kindness. Remember His kindness. Okay, that's a good thing to do. Remember God was kind to us when He led us out of Egypt or He led us out of LA. Zachar lashon hashpa'ah. Well, the idea of remembering is the idea of life force, shefa. Shefa is roughly translated as life force. So remembering is an act of bringing shefa to your brain. By remembering a Torah you learned, by remembering a good deed someone did and saying thank you, by remembering to call your grandmother, by remembering to pay a bill. Your remembering brings forward mental power. That mental power is powered by the shefa, by the life force. Especially when you want to do good for others. Then what you're doing is you're joining your faith to the faith of the Jews. So your little spark is joining a massive river. You're no longer alone on the mountainside believing in God and looking at your bowl of rice and wondering when they're going to give you some soy sauce. You know, I knew some people that they had that problem when they went to ashrams in India. But we're not in India anymore, and we don't have to go to ashrams to learn about the truth of the living God. We need to hear what the Rebbe's telling us. Hear it deep. Your spark connects to all the big sparks. Shehi HaChokhmah, and that activates wisdom. Shneimar b'Chokhmah yibane bayit, that with wisdom you will build a house, not with foolishness. B'vadai, and of course the ultimate bayit is the Beit HaMikdash. B'vadai ra'u kol avsei aretz. And then certainly, like it says in Tehillim 67, right, then all the extremities of the land will see. From the one end of the earth to the other will see. And he brings it all the way to the level that when you see, you bring the physical thing to its spirituality. You transform it from seeing it, from a physical thing to a spiritual thing. That's like the famous story of they asked one guy, what are you doing? He said, I'm building a synagogue. Another guy said, oh, you're building a synagogue. Another guy said, no, I'm just building a house. Another guy says, no, I'm not building a house or a synagogue. I'm building the Beit HaMikdash. I'm building the palace of the king. It's all perspective, but that shift in perspective is like, you know, the quantum shift in an accelerator with a molecule that's speeding around at a sublight speed. It changes the camera that's watching it. So too we change the thing we're watching. We are cameras. Ve'et, this word ve'et, otiot me aleph tav, because the word ve'et is and aleph tav, from the beginning to the end of the 22 letters of the aleph bet, ayinu, anitzotzot, which are the sparks. Again, we learned in the beginning of this Torah that the sparks are carried by the letters. Unaseh yeshuot Elokeinu, and this is the abundant salvation of our God, ki hanitzotzot naaseh diborim, because that life force goes into your speech. Because you notice people that have a lot of life force, they like to talk a lot. I'm not talking about yours truly necessarily, but and this spreads good to the world. The right type of speech spreads good to the world. And this is the salvation of our God, and it's His pleasure. Now think about this deeply. Your speech becomes His pleasure. Isn't that going to lift up everything? God bless you all. We're going to continue. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Amen Amen. We finished this Torah. We'll start a new one tomorrow, or when we're married. Kesher Parnasei Ador Manigei Ador Nitgas Nitgaim. Oh, this is a tough Torah. It's about when leaders become arrogant. So I think it might be important. It might be right now. But we'll see you the next time. God bless you all. Have a great week.